I'm a hero, I'm for hire, I'm a seller, I'm a buyer. Conversations with me in my lounge as we scream. You know me, Matt Morgan, subject board, follow him. I'm the comic man. I'm the comic man.
Oh, hello, true believers. Welcome back to Heroes for Hire Comic Club. I love that intro from my friend Freaky Louie. Made that for me. I said, I want a Curtis Mayfield song, but you can change the lyrics to something about comics. So he did that. But in honor of the Firefly was coming back out, they're supposed to have an animated series. So I thought I would be, checking that out. But anyway, enough of that plather, as they says in, well, I guess it was The Godfather. I probably said it wrong, so you'll forgive me. But anyway, we have Randy here from Swarm of Comics. Thank you.
The crowd goes crazy.
I did it. I used to have some crowd noises here. Maybe we could play a. No, I don't have it. Anyway, oh, here you go. I'd like to thank the Academy. Well, since the Oscars were the other day, but anyway. But I thought we should do, I wanted to do, because we have like a gong on here. Remember the Gong Show?
Of course.
Chuck Harris, like we should have a comic book talent show. And when we don't like what they have to do, we just go and play the gong out. They hit the gong. I don't know. Anyway, I always was a fan of the Unknown Comic. He always had like a brown paper bag over his head. Anyway.
So people always remember the Unknown Comic, but they don't remember the other super famous guest that was on there all the time. He was the guy that would play songs with his pants zipper with his back to the camera.
Oh, okay. I don't remember that.
And the bit was always he would pretend to get something stuck in there and then have to come and carry him off stage. People don't remember that. They remember the Unknown Comic, but they keep forgetting about musical zipper guy. I'm sure somebody in the comments will remember.
I usually remember him and Gene the Dancing Machine guy.
Yes.
Well, we had my friend W. Boggs is here, and Randy's in the chat, and my friend Jeff's the greetings, and then and Randy's like, hello. All right. Then we got Cali Comics. Hey, Cali. Well, the only really question that I ask everyone is, and by the way, this he's a man of multiple talents. Randy here, he's got a YouTube channel for comics. He's also a musician in a band called Swarm of Eyes, and we'll share that later. We'll get into that too if you want to. I'm a big music fan, so I was trying to think of like some artwork from like heavy metal. So that's why I chose Eddie back there from the Trooper.
I love that. It was the 40th anniversary of Run to the Hills album this week, I think.
Oh, yeah. And
another thing to make me feel old.
Yeah, I know it, right? It was like somebody was saying the other day, like in the movie Lethal Weapon, Danny Glover, when he says, I'm getting too old for this shit, he's 41 years old. I'm like, shoot, I'm 49. So I guess we all are getting too old for this crap. And
you don't even want to know how old I am. I'm way older than you.
Well, we're still old enough. We both know, about the 80s and
we're old enough to remember the Gong Show, and that's what matters, Matt.
There you go. I'm old enough to remember the Gong Show. So, and I'm assuming we all know who, there's some of the young people I'll talk about, like, oh man, do you remember those cartoons, like, the Laugh Olympics or Thundar the Barbarian? They're like, what the hell is that? And the only reason they probably don't know what Thundar is because there's a comic book out now.
I agree, but here's what I always do: is I get older and I bring up something from my youth. I think to myself, I'm like, oh yeah, you didn't remember Gidget. That was way before your time. And I kept getting this answer from the younger generation, Gen Z, the millennials, whoever it happens to be. They would say, of course we know those things. We had Nicktoons and Nick at Night. We were watching these things on cable. You think time stopped because you stopped watching them. They said, we still watch them, just like we watch stuff in syndication. I just assume these kids don't know any of this stuff. Yeah. They surprise me sometimes, Matt.
Well, I Love Lucy's still airing somewhere right now, I'm sure. So, but you know what? It's the same thing with like Gilligan's Island. When I was in the 80s, like they reran the hell. That show only lasted 3 years.
Yeah.
But it's reran so long, it feels like it lasted longer. There was like so many episodes. Jeff's talking about Hollywood Squares here. Yeah, Hollywood Squares. Oh, here's your blast from the past. Paul Lynde.
Paul Lynde, of course.
The greatest center square of all time. Now, a lot of people are like, no, Whoopi Goldberg. No. Paul, y'all understand. Like, he would have these one-liners that, like, there was one I remember they asked him, he's kind of effeminate. He says, if a man falls overboard, they yell, man overboard. But if a woman falls overboard, Paul, what do they say? He said, full speed ahead.
And I'm telling you, we were too young to get half the jokes that he was making, by the way.
Yeah, I know. Like, definitely. I'll never forget I'm sure you've seen I've seen it on YouTube. I didn't watch it live, but the Paul Lynde Halloween special, he had Kiss on, and you could tell Paul Lynde's like, who in the hell is this?
I can't remember. I don't know. I think my mom used to watch Hollywood Squares. That's why we would see it. So maybe we saw it, and I don't remember it, but.
Yeah, well, if you ever see it, look up Paul Lynde Halloween special Kiss.
Oh, I'm definitely going to. And I remember the Kiss Meets the Phantom movie when we were kids.
Oh, yeah, I had that on VHS in the 80s, and like, I'll be honest, I thought it was cool. But I know it's like, well, it's kind of, you learn the funny stuff later on. Like, they dubbed Peter Criss's voice because he just could not act.
No, we didn't.
That kind of makes sense. So, but it was basically like a Hard Day's Night in an amusement park with Kiss. So it's like they were trying to be tongue in cheek anyway. But
wait, so what was the question you were going to ask me? Did you already ask me?
No, I haven't asked yet.
Okay. I thought maybe I forgot to answer.
This show kind of goes in all kinds of directions. So when did you start? What started your love of comics?
So I think what started our love of comics, and when I say our, I'm referring to my brother. He's on the show sometimes. We call him Bronze Age Bill. We're only a year apart. We're super close, best friends as kids, best friends now. And he looks like he should be in a boardroom, and I should look like I should be cleaning the boardroom, but we're actually more alike than you'd think. But when we were kids, we grew up in the 70s, you weren't escaping superheroes. Wonder Woman TV show, Spider-Man TV show, with the metal wristband, shooting the rope webs. We had Spider-Man and Batman underoos. My mom got us little Spider-Man books when we were a kid. I wish I could find this book. I've actually searched for it on the internet. They were little books, and the book was somebody was a villain that was going to cause it to rain on a parade, and Spider-Man had to stop him. You weren't getting away from Superman. In reruns, there was going all the way back to the black and white Superman stuff. So we were so overexposed to superheroes, but we didn't really have comic books when we were little kids. We would have comic books like Archie, or Hot Stuff, or Casper. Those things would come in and out. It really wasn't until probably about 1980 into 81 that we started collecting and buying comic books and really understanding it. But so that's how we got started, because you weren't escaping it. People think, superheroes now and all these movies, but superheroes were massive in the 1970s as well. They had the superhero glasses if you went to like Burger King or whatever it was. Like it was sewn into the pop culture, TV, movies. We used to watch the Incredible Hulk TV show. What was that, 1977? So we were kids.
Yeah. And Spider-Man had a show for like at least a year or two.
Yeah. And that's one of the things that they talk about now, is that all these Marvel movies. Marvel is, I at this point, I think Marvel's made 30 something movies. I'm just making up a number. And DC's made, no good ones, but a bunch of movies as well. It's not pulling kids back to comic books. You'd think, they're watching these movies, they go buy comic books. But I think about that as a kid. We didn't say, we need to go find these comic books. We just were reading these books and watching the TV shows and watching the movies. We think these are new developments in collecting and pop culture and comic books, but that was the same way when I was a kid.
Oh, absolutely. I think it could get kids into it. Well, I think a lot of kids read graphic novels or on their phone or something.
They all read manga. If we have a chain up in New England called Newbury Comics. Newbury Comics. Yeah, sorry. Shots at DC. which is ironic because I'm going from a Marvel guy after 40 years to become 45 years to almost turning into a DC guy. But anyway, we have a chain called Newbury Comics up here. They started as a comic book store. They more leaned into music and, didn't really focus on comics, but kept the names. And now they sell Funko Pops and manga. That's their big sales. When you walk in, there's not comic books, there's not CDs, there's manga everywhere, racks and racks of it. And that's what the kids are reading. And again, you've got this manga style absolute Batman that these kids are starting to cross over and pull the kids into comics. But yeah, the kids are reading the manga these days. That's
well, I think with DC's been, that absolute thing, whether you like it or not, it's brought attention back. I think a lot. Like I have a TikTok I started, and you see a lot about it on there, especially like, and Callie was saying the manga reads a little bit faster and easy. Yeah, I think a lot of times the kids, I don't know, like it even happens to me. Look, I'm 49, but like with all the TikToks and the reels, and all these little clips, it hurts your attention span. Like, I don't really feel like spending 2 hours watching a movie, and although I still do it. Like I'm going to watch Weapons tonight because one of my favorite actresses, I didn't know she was in it. Ed Harris's wife, Amy Madigan, was in it. But anyway, I digress. But and the thing with the comics, though, they'll always be around in some form. But like, I don't know about the collecting. Like I was joking some other day, if they quit making new comics tomorrow, I would still have plenty to read that I've never read before in my life. There's so many comics out there.
Right. Well, that's actually something I thought of the other day. It's funny is I do have a stack of comics that I have comics that when I collect comic books, sometimes I don't get to them. I'm missing one issue. I'm missing 2 issues. Next thing I know, I have 49 issues and I'm missing 2 of them and I never got back to it. The first run of the Marvel Star Wars reboot a couple of years ago, I have all those to read. So I have a lot of stuff to read, but I think to myself, I have not since I was a kid, probably younger than a teenager, I don't reread books. Maybe here and there a graphic novel is something I really love. So I thought, you made me think about it. I had an epiphany the other day. I don't reread comic books. I see people talking about that, like, oh man, I've read that series 10 times. I don't rewatch TV shows. I don't reread comic books. But if they stop comics tomorrow, I would have plenty to read.
Well, the thing about like the like rereading, like it has to be something that really affects me. You know what I mean? Like I'll revisit it, but I can't do it every year. But I hear some people go, I reread Watchmen every year. No, but like maybe I'll revisit it in 5 years. I'll do that. But yeah, I know what you mean about that. Like I try to remember what I read, but I'm like you though about the run thing. They're like, okay, I was trying to go back and get some stuff I missed, like when Jonathan Hickman was writing the Avengers, the Affinity thing. I got some actually from my friend Cyclotronic Squirt Gun in the chat there. And then I'm like, oh, but I'm missing like this issue and this issue. I can't read it till I get those.
I can't read it.
There's something about having that gap in it. Like I got this right now with this Justice League. I got Justice League International like 1 through 4, and then I don't have issue 5, and then I have issue 6. I'm like, damn it, I had to stop until I could get issue 5.
But so, I've chatted about this with my local comic shop, the owner there, and he said to me, especially modern day, he goes, Randy, the issue you're missing, nothing happened. He goes, you'll figure it out if you read the next issue. What I did though is I started using the Marvel online for Marvel books to read something digital if I don't have it, to fill in the gaps. Yeah. I don't like reading comics digital, but filling in missing issues digital and reading on a tablet is a good filler.
Yeah, I'm going to have to do that. I want to get back into the apps. That's kind of one of the reasons I got back in, besides that my uncle had this huge collection of like EC stuff. He had like all the hardcover box sets. And when he died, it went to my stepdad. And when he died, we still hadn't done nothing with it. And it was all in the basement. Mom moved, and she was like, you need to help me get rid of some of this stuff. So I said, I don't really want to do that. Then I put it on eBay, and I kind of regret selling some of them because they were pretty expensive. But I made her some money, which is, it wasn't my stuff to keep, but I kept some of it because he had like a lot of Dave Stevens and Joe Kubert stuff. He liked a lot of underground stuff, like he had a lot of Wallace Wood stuff.
Wally Wood, yeah. Dave
Yeah,
Stevens
and,
did some of those Wally Wood books.
Yeah, well, he had one called Malice in Wonderland.
Yep.
And it's kind of a dirty comic. It's it's kind of a nudie book, but Wally kind of did that kind of thing. Like he was on the side, he would make those. But there's nothing wrong with that. I'm not saying there's anything wrong with it. I just thought it was like, whoa, we got Alice in Wonderland naked. But anyway, it was interesting. It was an interesting book. We had some interesting underground, like the Freak Brothers and stuff like that, and Von Baudet. I don't know if you remember. A very underground artist, and Richard Corbin had a lot of heavy metal magazines.
Well, yeah, I loved Heavy Metal Magazine. I remember, and I watched the movie first because I think that was 81. I think we saw that on VHS in 83, maybe it was. My friend, when we were kids, he was a huge comic book collector. He brought me to my first comic book store. His name was Louis Zioli. We were like 12 years old, and he was like 13 a year older. And the video store would rent him anything. They didn't care. He had a membership there. So we would watch. We ended up watching in 84, Nightmare on Elm Street came out, Faces of Death. We would watch Heavy Metal, the movie, and stuff like that. But that's how I found that.
I think a lot of us in the 80s probably watched movies at an age we probably shouldn't have been watching them. They wouldn't allow it now. Like I remember watching Heavy Metal. Like I was like, I can't remember how old it was, but I was watching it like this. Like, oh, look at this. But yeah, I was like that too at the video store. My mom had a gift shop. Next door was a video store. It's one of mom and pops. I'm not talking like Blockbuster. And you can tell a mom and pop video store because there's a tanning salon in the back of it, or something like that. And they got the room with the beads on it that says adults only. You're like, I wonder what's in there. But like you would go in there. Besides that, though, you could go in there and go, oh,
I don't think our store had that. I think our store was called Video Village.
Yeah. Well, you can go in there and like 10-year-old, I'm pulling up like I Spit on Your Grave and Texas Chainsaw Massacre. They're like, okay. Yeah, okay, young man, go ahead and watch that. Like, okay. So I guess I don't know. I don't know if that says anything about my mind here, but I don't know. But I turned out okay. I think I didn't turn into a serial killer or anything, so I think we're all right.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know. Allegedly. That kind of reminds me of this joke. I watched this YouTube channel. They're called Middle Aged Dad Jam Band, and it's a bunch of comedic actors. You know what I'm talking about?
Yeah, it's the guys from the state, like
Louis,
like that.
From the state, exactly. Yeah, and they had other guy from the state who was on Reno 911 who played Officer Tangle. He was on there, and he's like, "Going to play the Pina Colada song." Yeah. And he goes, "This song is about my wife before she went missing." For this, and then he says, "But I was cleared of those charges." He goes, "Okay, 1, 2, 3." It's like, what? But anyway, he says, "But I was cleared of those charges, but they never found her." This is a long story. Anyway, let's start the song. And everybody's like, "What is he talking about?" But anyway, I got this nervous energy when I'm on the show, so you got to overlook me. So
I'm going to pretend you're not even here.
Okay, that's fine.
I'm used to talking to a camera to record my videos to myself anyway.
All right. Well, it's cool. I'm doing all right, though, I guess. So I think I ran into your YouTube channel, I guess it's about a year ago. And then I saw you on my friend Cliff's show. Cliff's a cool, great guy. But what did you put this? All right. What inspired you to start a YouTube channel about comics?
It was actually the funny story, and I've told it before, and I realize it's a long story, so I try to keep it shorter now. I went to a yard sale to look at comic books. They had advertised on Facebook, and they were going to have a whole ton of comic books. And I got there early, and it was very funny because the yard sale started at 7:30. And it turned out it was we have these around here sometimes. It'll be a whole town yard sale. They'll say everybody have the yard sale on the same day, and then everybody drives around to all of the yard sales. So I was at this one yard sale that they had advertised. They had comic books, Golden Age, Silver Age, modern stuff, everything like that. Great pictures. So I got there. It was supposed to start at 7:30. I got there at like 7:15, and I went up, and the woman opened the garage, and I went to go in, and she said to me, "Get off my property. Do not set 1 foot in here before 7:30 when the yard sale starts." I was like, okay. So I went back to the edge of the driveway, and another guy came up, and he was standing there outside his car, like ready to go, like he was ready to run over there. And I said, I made a joke with him, and I said, hey man, I said, I was here first. You got to give me first dibs, like whatever. And he looked at me and he said, I don't have to give anybody anything. I'll do whatever I want to do. Like he was dead serious about going to look at those comic books. And I was like, oh, okay. And then we went over to look at the comic books, and they were all in these weird boxes, not comic boxes. Like they were separated by these like little like rectangular boxes. And he started hoarding all of them and piling them all up to look through them. And I was like, hey, could I look at a couple of those? And he was like, you can look at them when I'm done. And he was the rudest person I ever met.
Damn.
And I ended up looking at the comics, and the guy there wanted way too much money. He kept saying, I know what I have, and I'm a collector, and I have big books. And, you know, he wanted like double the price of everything. I talked him down and got a couple of Captain Marvel books, though, Golden Age books. But Mortal Kombat over garage sale comics. But the funny thing is when I walked out of there and left, he was still sitting there doing something, and he kind of apologized to me, and we started talking, and it turns out that he submits books to CGC, he presses books, and he's a comic book collector, but he tried to do it. He doesn't read them. He does it more for like an investment hobby. And he ended up giving me his number and things like that. And he texted me, he goes, hey, did you get those Captain Marvels? Did you beat him up on price? So all of a sudden he wanted to be my friend. And I think he sort of got over the aggressiveness, and I disarmed him by like, I'm not fighting over comic books. It's just a kind of a funny story. But he said is, hey man, if you want to take some of these books in your collection, I'll submit into CGC for you. So he did that. My first CGC submission was 25 books, all Silver Age Spider-Man, every book. I didn't even think to mix it up. I didn't know anything. I only owned one graded book, and I bought it that way, and I knew nothing about grading. He taught me. This was only like 2 years ago or something like that. And he said, hey, you know, you should film yourself opening them up and like put it on YouTube. And I'm like, I don't even have a YouTube account. And he goes, people like that stuff, doing unboxing and stuff like that. So that's how I started the channel. And I didn't think I was going to ever do anything with the channel more than one video. And the name of my band was Swarm of Eyes. And I said, I don't even know what to call this stupid channel. I just called it Swarm of Comics. My original logo was just my Swarm of Eyes logo. And I got rid of the word eyes and put comics with a different font. And I was like, there we go. I was done. And I did the video, and I really liked it. I don't even remember this is the trap people get into, in my opinion. I don't know if other people have seen this. Tell me if you've seen this. I started advertising to all my friends and my family, put it on my Facebook page. Guys, I have a channel and I'm going to do a video. And I got way more views than I thought, maybe 100, maybe 200. And I was like, wow, that's crazy. Then I did a second video, and I didn't get any views, and nobody cared, because the initial like, hey, we supported you once, good for you, we don't care about comic books. And it was a little deflating, and I thought about not doing it anymore.
Yeah, it does. Like you kind of like, everybody wants to humor you first, right?
They humor you at first. My post on Facebook, I put a picture of the thumbnail, and I put it up there, and I got like 50, 60, 70 likes. And then the next one I put up there, I got like 2.
Well, I kind of in that situation. I have about, but I mean, it's been a slow grind. It's almost, I guess August will be 2 years. And it was like, okay, you post a video, and sometimes still like that. Like, cause I'll do like, even though I know some people are like, I'm tired of unboxing videos. I don't care. I just like, what I'm doing is I'm just documenting my collecting journey is all I'm doing. That's the way I feel like. And like, I do have friends that watch it, but then when you get like 30 views, you're like, oh, that sucks. But like, I keep on doing it, you know, like, I do a lot of live streams, but I've also started doing movie stuff too on here. Because I just can't, like, and somebody said, you need to start a movie channel. I'm like, no, I'm just going to keep it on here, because this is just about my journey as a collector and lover of pop culture, you know. So
mine was a journey to document the graded books, but I actually did find that I enjoyed it. And it's funny, I have a video that came, by the way, everybody, if you go to my channel, I put out a new video today. I try to do a video on Tuesdays and Fridays. I checked and did some research, and it turns out those are the 2 worst days to put videos out, but it's what I kind of do now. And there's a new video today, and I just cannot predict what videos are going to do well. my last video from last week, I just did a little auction unboxing. I won a couple of Dave Stevens books and a couple of Superman books, and it got a decent amount of views, more than I thought. I did a CGC unboxing the other day, and that got less views. And I was like, how is that even possible? People love CGC boxings. Some of my CGC unboxings get thousands of views. Some get 200. It's strange. And I'm gonna find my way there to what you said. Sometimes I'm deflated about it. I'm bummed, but I have to remind myself, I'd rather have 30 views of the cool people that come to my channel that I enjoy, make great comments. Because when you start getting videos with 2, 3, 4, 5,000 views, it's a bunch of people you don't know. And I really just don't want to deal with trolls and bullshit. Can I say swears? Am I allowed to say that?
Yeah. Shit.
I'd rather have a core, smaller group of people and be thankful for that. And I feel like that's the same thing for my music. I'd love to play in front of 10,000 people, but I'm also comfortable playing in front of 100 people. That's a great crowd that really appreciates us and doesn't just humor us. So you just made me think about that. Saying that is sometimes I'm bummed at the number of views, and I think to myself, but they were quality, good views with people that I'm really starting to connect with.
Decent comments are like, look at this loser. And it's like, you get a lot of troll. Like, that's the one thing I've learned about this is you've got to have a
thick skin.
Thick skin, you know, because there's some people out here like.
I try to engage a troll, especially. So the most popular videos that ends up getting there are videos that are bad news. I had a bad CGC thing. Post office wrecked my books. People like to see what happened. They want to know. People don't watch people of shaking hands with policemen. They watch videos of policemen tasing people. It's just how the world works. So I, have these videos and I put them out, and I get the trolls once in a while. And they're usually the videos that have people that aren't regular subscribers and come to my videos. They don't know me. And they'll say, hey, you dummy, of course you got a bad grade on that. You shouldn't have, submitted in the first place. And I usually reply with, you're probably not wrong. And I'm putting myself out there to see, so people can see, and to try and get people to learn from it. Don't be so excited to submit every book. Don't submit every book you get. Be more cautious with whatever. And I had a troll that was insulting me, and we got into a conversation. And by the end of our very long, 14 comment conversation, he's like, I'm glad I watched your videos and I subbed to your channel. Cool. And that's how it goes. If I do get a troll, I try to engage them because they have something to say. If they're just being an idiot, or they haven't watched my channel and they don't know me, and I can be very self-deprecating and I can be very transparent out there. But once they learn that, I don't know if I win them over, but I engage them without being defensive and saying, hey, you're probably not wrong.
The only ones I ignore or just completely kick out is if they say something completely racist or something. I've had that happen.
And I'm honestly lucky. I don't know whether it's because my mom will yell at them. Hi, Mom. My mom is very mad at the trolls. And I say, people do not troll me. My mom will be pissed at you. If she had a YouTube account, she would log in and yell at you. And I love her. And but honestly, I feel very lucky, blessed, whatever the phrase is that I don't have a lot of trolls. I mean, maybe 3 have trolled me over the years.
Well, I mean, usually they always I can laugh. I had somebody was talking about my beard or something. I just thought it was funny. I said, well, that's funny. I said, and we had one pop up one time. My friend Jeff's in the chat. He can tell you. We're like, let's see if this guy's like, yeah, you guys suck or something. And we started joking with him. By the end, I played some kind of funny video. And because I have I kind of have little funny replies for it. He says, you know what? He said, you guys are all right. And he left us alone. So you never know, But I have funny videos I play in case anybody gets rowdy. It's in a joking manner though. We like this right here.
Nobody wants you around.
Hey, you're talking to my guy all wrong. It's the wrong tone. Do it again, I'll stab you in the face with a soldering iron.
Yeah, I think that gets the point across anyway.
Yeah. But yeah, or I have the one where it's like Mile Rashley's like, just because I read comics doesn't mean I can't start some shit. But I don't know. Any excuse to play a video. I do goofy stuff on this channel. So yeah, Psychotronic Squirt Gun. He says trolls. He'll just talk to him. He's like you. He'll just start talking to him. Hey, how you doing? He does a claim show, by the way. My friend, he's got a PSG Comics.
Yeah, let me say this, guys. I'm on Instagram. It's just easy. It's at Swarm of Comics, and if you have channels on YouTube or and on Instagram, shoot me the link. I'm happy to follow anything. I learn so much from channels, and I meet so many great people. So please spam me, send me your channels, or even a channel you recommend if you don't have content you put up. I just want to put that out there. Shoot that to me on Instagram. Comment on one of my videos with your channel. I'm happy. You don't even need to return. You don't even need to return the favor. I'm just happy to sub to good stuff that I find.
And I have your links in the Instagram. Your Instagram link, your YouTube channel, both your YouTube channels, the Swarm of Eyes and Comics, and are in the chat. I also put your and then we got Callie putting it in here too, so everybody can click your Instagram right there. And also I have your Kickstarter. I think you can still back it right now. We'll talk about that if you want. I'll share it real quick if you want to.
Yeah, I'd love to. I think it's an integral part of me as a person, and I feel like a lot of heavy metal goes hand in hand with comic books. You know, it's very.
I played the trailer about getting in trouble. Like, well, since you're here, I guess I can. All right, we'll play it.
Okay, let's see if it plays. There's a snippet of all the 5 songs on there, I think.
It's EP, right?
It's kind of thrashy metal. I do heavy aggressive vocals and screaming, but I'm intelligible. I'm not just like a Cookie Monster vocals. It's heavy aggressive stuff. Slayer, Metallica, Exodus, Sepultura, that kind of stuff if you like metal.
I love metal. It's one of my favorite forms of music. I grew up I grew up in the 80s, so we had Iron Maiden, Judas Priest, Motley Crue. Well, I don't know. Some of the bands may not be metal, but like I listen to all the stuff like Alice Cooper, Kiss. I was a big Kiss fan as a kid. Especially, and
I never got into Kiss. I remember the kids when I was in kindergarten. So this is going back into the early mid 70s. I remember the kids coming to school with the Kiss dolls, but I never caught on to them. Although I did, you mentioned them. I did love Motley Crue. And if my mom is watching, you can block your ears. We used to have model glue, and we would go to a local parking lot of a store. It was called Paperama. It was kind of like a party city, and we would draw pentagrams with the model glue and light them on fire in the parking lot. And sometimes the cars would drive over them. We didn't mean to, but the model glue would get stuck to them and still be on fire on their tires as they were going through. But that was 100% influenced by Motley Crue videos in 1983 on MTV.
I will say this about Kiss, Randy. Like when I got to the age where I discovered bands like Metallica, and then when I came back and started listening to Sabbath and Zeppelin, Kiss was more like okay, I'm leaving that behind. You know what I mean? Like
they were a gateway or an entry band. They got you in there.
And like I heard somebody say one time, like most bands want to be like the Beatles. Kiss wanted to be like Pepsi. They just wanted to be like corporate kind of. I mean, not no offense to any Kiss fans out there. I'm probably going to have the Kiss Army come after me now, so I better shut up.
Yeah, you're in trouble.
You can get the digital download for $7, deluxe digital for $15,
CD,
and then actual physical media, which is what I like to see, for $18 plus shipping. And you get the digital download with that too, though it's a package deal.
Yeah.
I'm assuming. And then, or you can get this. You got the shirt.
No, those are gone. Those deals are gone.
Yes, it's all gone. But anyway, that was there. But these are still available, guys. I'm going to try to back this when I can. I want
buying comic books for 5 minutes.
I know that's my problem, man. That's my problem.
Well, I mean, we're going to have the CDs and certain T-shirts and everything available. We have them on our website, swarmofeyes.com. We're just a bunch of old guys who like to play metal. We don't want to be famous. If somebody came up to me and said, would love to sign you and put you on tour, I'd say no thanks. I'd rather be home with the mediocre wall of comics and relaxing. Being at home with my wife and the dog and being home. Being on a tour bus or in a van sounds terrible. That was something 22-year-olds should do, not me.
Yeah, it's a young man's game, right?
Yeah. So we like to, what they also say is that, if you wanna make $1 million in music, start with $2 million. So we still like to do this, but we have the CDs. We still play local gigs. We have a bunch of them coming up, and we just play when we're free and everybody's around. People are always on like vacations or out on the boat or doing Comic Cons. My guitar player actually writes comic books. If you go to homelesscomics.com, he writes tons of comic books. He's been on my show before. You can see those videos. His name's George O'Connor. So yeah, Swarm of Eyes, that's the band. We just did a Kickstarter. The new EP's coming out. We're on Spotify with our old albums. We're on Bandcamp. Thank you for letting me push that and bringing that up for all you metalheads out there.
I'm a big music fan, all right? Like I remember going back to when I was a kid, and this is not metal, but my mom would be listening to like the Eagles and Neil Diamond. So I grew up listening to music in the house. She was a big like Carly Simon fan and Carole King,
Oh yeah,
so,
my mom was listening to Blondie, Carly Simon. She had so many great. My mom, we had this big like record player inside of a console thing, and my mom had all these 45s and music, Gordon Lightfoot, whatever it is, and there was so much music. I learned, classical music from my mom having that on, and that's where my big musical influence come from. I don't have an older brother. I'm the oldest kid. My dad, he liked music, but he wasn't. My mom had the music, and that's how I really found my brother Bill, Bronze Agent Bill, and I. He plays in a band. They play rock. They do covers. He's been doing it even longer than I have, and we just have a love of music. And I definitely comes from influence from my mom back in the 70s, the stuff she listened to.
When you said that about if you want to make $2 million, and what was the quote you said?
You want to make $1 million in a band, start with $2 million.
Well, it reminded me of a quote from one of my favorite writers of all time, Hunter S. Thompson. Here's what Hunter S. Thompson said about the music industry. He said, "The music business is a cruel and shallow money trench, a long plastic hallway where thieves and pimps run free and good men die like dogs. There's also a negative side."
I'm also a bit of a princess, and the idea of being in a van and not showering for days with a bunch of smelly people sounds awful.
That does not sound like fun to me. Like, I don't know.
I need like luxurious hotels if I was going to do that, and I don't have that.
They kind of make it look glamorous. They used to make it look glamorous though, like like the old videos with like Wanted Dead or Alive. They're all
1 million. Well, I know a lot of people in music. It sounds like I'm name dropping, and I'm absolutely not. But I know people who tour, and let me tell you, a tour bus holds 18 people. The band, the crew, and everything like that. You're in a bunk that you can't actually sit up, and they all wear earplugs because everybody's farting, burping, snoring, and everything like that. And these are people that are around my age because they've been playing for the past 20 years, and they still enjoy it. And they make good money because you get to a point where you say, well, I can deal with this because it's making me money on the merch and the stuff like that. And actually, it's funny you put Iron Maiden. They have toured with Iron Maiden multiple times, but they're still in a bus with 18 people and earplugs in just so you don't hear everybody farting and snoring. And that does not sound fun to me.
And probably nose plugged if they've not showered in a couple of days, right?
Well, and also you have to remember, you can't go to the bathroom in those buses.
Oh, Lord.
You can't use the bathroom in buses, so you got to hope you would get somewhere. Yeah, I won't get into it. Anyway.
I don't know. It's like I said, they portray it in movies. So there was although it reminds me of that, everybody think, it's going to be like that scene in Almost Famous when they're singing Tiny Dancer. Like, no. It's going to be like, you're all really probably going to be tired of each other after a while. That's for one thing. But I think the one scene that's more accurate is like where they're in that plane in the movie, and they think they're going to crash, and he's like, I'm cheating. Your wife's cheating on you with me. And the other guy's like, I never did like you, you son of a bitch. And they're all cussing each other out, and then the plane just lands. They're like, Oh, well, that was awkward.
Well, you know what? That's so funny you say that, because I'm going to segue that into a comic book. If you guys haven't read the comic book Ordained, you should read that. I was introduced to it by a channel called Comic Showcase Shop. Go check out their channel on YouTube. They're a fairly new channel, only a few months old, and they've been doing a lot of videos. They really got a lot of a following from doing unbaggings. They did the Mark Spears, one of them, maybe the Halloween book or the Christmas book, and they got 100 blind bags and opened them up, spread it out over all these shorts, YouTube shorts. But anyway, they had talked about it and gave a review of Ordained, so I picked it up. And the general concept of the book is, this is really gritty, hardened priest who probably has a little bit of a past, and one of his jobs is he goes to the hospital to give last rites to people who are going to die, and he's called in to give last rites to an Irish gangster. And the Irish gangster, he's like, I haven't been to confession in 45 years, and he spills his guts about stuff, and then makes a miraculous recovery the next day. And he says, well, now this priest knows all of where the skeleton's in the closet. Now we need to get rid of him. And then the fight is on. And I'm on 2 issues of that, and so far that have come out, and I really like that book. So
I've heard good things about it. I've heard good things about it.
Yeah, pick up Ordained.
I might try to get the trade, because I think I missed out on here lately. I don't know if you've noticed. I'm sure you have. If you don't jump on these indie books and FOC them before they come out, you're not getting them.
Right. And here's the funny thing, is that you can be a collector for a long time and still not know how certain things work. I was talking to my LCS about that, because these books came out. I wanted to read Winter Sky. I don't remember. What's it called? White Sky, because it felt very The Walking Dead. Yeah. And I said, hey, I'm interested in that book. He goes, there's no copies of that. He goes, it's the hottest book in the world. They're going for $100 a piece. And I was like, well, how am I supposed to know to get this book before it comes out and tell you? And he says, there are catalogs that I have sitting here on the counter for the past 30 years that come out all the time. Look at the books that are coming, and you can say, hey, grab me that book, a copy of that. He goes, and you can do that up until 2 weeks before the book is released. Yeah. So if you start to see a buzz about a book or hear about it beforehand, and you want to read these catalogs, just put an order and I'll pick up one for you. And I was like, oh, I just assume, if I'm not a regular subscriber to a book, I'm just hoping I see it on the shelf and I pick it up and I find something new. Mm-hmm. But he's like, you should be more proactive with some of these things.
Yeah, you have to. It's harder for people that are new coming in, because you say FOC and they're like, what does that mean? But I agree, though. You have to be proactive. There's one coming out.
FOC for people, that's the final order 2 weeks before.
Yeah.
That's the so if 2 months before, a vendor has to look at a little blurb in a catalog and say, yeah, I guess I'll take 5 copies of that from some no-name publisher. And then what happens is there might be a buzz about it, or more people might ask for it. So 2 weeks before the book is distributed, they have a chance to say, okay, I don't want 5, I want 10, or I don't want 5, I want 1. Nobody's asked for it. He goes, let me tell you, nobody asked for these books that are hot, because that are coming out, White Sky and Nectar and Dork.
No, absolutely. There's one coming out tomorrow, and I don't know if it's going to be anything or not, from Oni Press, but I really like the premise of it. It's called Dead Teenagers, and
I've never even heard of it.
So see, but it kind of sounds like a cool premise. These teenagers in 1997, they wake up every day and it's the prom, and every day they die, and they relive the same prom over and over. And it takes place in the 90s. So the 90s were a fun time for me. It's kind of like coming of age. I think I was in my teenage years in the 90s a lot for most of it. And I was like, well, that sounds pretty cool. And they have some homage covers, one of them's like an homage to Pretty Woman, the movie poster. And I can show you if you want to. Out here, I'll show you the.
And while you do that, I do want to say, the speculation is starting to run rampant, and people have to be careful of over speculating, obviously. And they also, people are suddenly have a fear of missing out, their FOMO, and maybe 10 books come out that month, and you don't want to just buy them all and hope that they're.
No, you don't want to do that. I always say, get what you think's interesting, right? If it may be about, it may not be anything, but it may stink. But like here's the cover I was talking about. Hold on.
So I like that cover. That's the Pretty Woman cover. I like that. But here's my thing. So I just picked up, and I have a video coming out. I don't even know when. Maybe it was today. Talking about. Nice to meet you, Christina Payne. It is Exploit. And my comic store said, yeah, I read it and it was pretty good. So I picked it up. I don't know if I was speculating or I was actually interested in maybe the book and it was recommended to me. And I read it and I said, I don't think this is a book for me. And actually, when I read the book, I said, this is a better TV show than it is a comic book.
Oh, yeah.
And it has nothing to do with superheroes and it has nothing to do with violence, like Exquisite Corpses. It's actually like drama with a small magazine, and they're taken over by a corporate company and they're trying to fight that. And you know, it's didn't seem like a comic book plot. It was more like maybe they didn't get their script purchased by Netflix and they decided to put it in a comic book instead. But you know, I bought it because it seemed interesting, but also it had a little buzz about it. So I was like, oh, well, maybe a little speculation there, and the book was okay. But I try to have to even limit myself and say, don't get speculation fever and just buy a bunch of stuff because
I still try to collect what I'm interested in reading. You know what I mean? Like I look at it and go, oh, that's interesting. I might get it. And if it something happens with it, even better, right? Even and then you're like, hey, you can brag about it to all your friends, you know. But no, like stuff like this right here, I read stuff like this a lot. So, and it's never going to be worth, this book's never going to be worth $60. But I grew up on G.I. Joe toys and Transformer stuff, so.
And that's a big part of my collecting, and I have to be wary of it. Speaking of comic books, is there's so much of our youth and childhood nostalgia coming back. I mean, Dynamite is doing every book Dynamite comes out with is something I watched in the 1970s, 1980. Thundar the Barbarian, Blue Falcon, Dynomutt, the Herculoids. These are all things that we watched when we were kids, and all these books are coming out, and I'm buying. I don't know, Space Ghost. Obviously we love Space Ghost, but and I'm not speculating those books, but it's a big part of our nostalgia. G.I. Joe, you were just saying the book's not worth $60, and yeah, it might not be $60. And I even grade books that I really like that I probably have lost money on by case cost, and I'm okay with that.
Yeah,
I'm comfortable with the things that I buy, and I try not to buy things just to buy them. But
I don't do that. Like I tried selling on Whatnot a long time ago, and I just couldn't keep up with it. And it's so hard to build an audience. And also I kind of I don't want to get rid of this stuff. This is my, the thing about, we've talked about this all the time on my channel. Nostalgia is a hell of a drug.
Yeah. Oh, it is.
Because now, that's like when I saw this Energon Universe stuff, and they're like, they're showing all this cool stuff. Like they're coming out with a mask series now, and they know exactly how to get us. I'm telling you, they know exactly what their demographic is. Guys around my age. So, and then I also went down this road. I'm getting action figures now. So,
see, I did action figures for a long time, and I sold them all off for the most. I had 900 action figures, and I sold them to one guy who bought the whole thing in bulk for me. He was also must have been a master Tetris player, because I said to him, "You're going to need to take 3 carloads in that SUV of this stuff," and he fit it all in there. I couldn't believe it. I was so impressed with him. But I got rid of the action figures. I don't do those. What I've been doing is, besides the comics, is I've been doing props, mostly helmets. I have some videos where I do unboxings of helmets that I've been picking up recently, and I put them in glass cases. And in one of the videos, I even show a little video footage of going over to my glass cases. But little props, like one of the things we have here, I just happen to have it next to me, is the Wolverine mask there. So that's one of the things so that's my nostalgia. And I can't even tell you how much that cost me. But I do love the helmets and some of the props. But not the action figures. I actually sold most of my action figures, and I sold most of my comic books.
Oh wow, okay. I like the The one I wanted was that I saw it sold out on the Hasbro website, but I'm sure I could probably get it. Probably have to pay more aftermarket. Is they brought out the Daredevil helmet, the mask, and the Billy Club. I'd love to get that.
I found restraint with that because I did not like the helmet. The helmet was only a half helmet that didn't look right. Maybe it's what it was missing, the sides of the helmet, like the sides of the mask. And I didn't like how it looked, but I wanted those Billy Clubs so badly. And I said, I've got to hold off on that one. So I also give people a tip where I've seen stuff, the Dr. Doom mask. Dr. Doom mask went up pre-sale on Hasbro's website, Hasbro Pulse website. Yeah. Before it didn't like my credit card, and then my credit card was good, and it just kept saying, re-enter your credit card. And by the time I got the credit, it took the credit card, it said, this is sold out. And here's my tip. I went to Amazon, and they had it on there, and it was actually cheaper. They were doing a pre-sale on Amazon. So my tip is check Amazon if there's a pre-sale, because they might have it pre-sale or already on sale at the cost, not inflated price. Always check for those Hasbro masks and helmets, Amazon, if you don't see it on Hasbro.
Yeah. And the great thing though is if you can go to Hasbro, is I discovered you can pre-order something, and they give you a notification a week before it ships, and they don't charge you right away.
Right. Yeah.
So that's a good thing.
I'm going to interrupt to answer a question from JSS Brooklyn.
Yeah, I'll put that up there. Yeah.
I have Nectar, but I have not read it yet. I'm just a little backed up on books, and I have it. It's in my stack. So my LCS, I had called him the week before and said, hey, I'm hearing this book, Nectar, is good. And I really love the cover A, the butterflies on the face, the tongue. I really liked it. And I said, hey, could you throw in a side? And he goes, yeah. And he put it in there for me. And he goes, these are already going for $25, $30 or whatever it is. He goes, but I don't ever inflate prices on things. And I picked it up. I just haven't read it. And the question also, the second part is, so it'll be in a Randy's Rundown. Those are my videos that I put out that are just like, hey, I bought these new books and here's what I think of them. By the time I get to them, the book's already probably been out for a month, but I get to it eventually. Exquisite Corpses, I read 9 issues of that before I actually did a Randy's Rundown on it. But it is what it is. Like it, read it, follow, watch it, whatever you want or don't. But one of my new favorite series, and I talked about this honestly because it's a bit of the nostalgia bug, and I don't know if you want to consider it. Maybe I'm cheating. Maybe it's not a new series, but I like the new Phantom book.
Oh, I love it.
So they finished their first arc, and I really like that. I mentioned Ordained earlier. There's 2 issues of that. I'm really recommending that one. I can't off the top of my head think of any other stories that are. There are some that I've read lately I do like, and it's not coming to me at the moment.
I heard you say Exquisite Corpses. I really enjoyed that.
So yes, I'm really enjoying Exquisite Corpses. I saw somebody say, I don't know if it needed to be 12 issues. It could have been shorter, but I think they're trying to really get this story going of interacting with all these different assassins, but also the aspect of shutting down the city, and also the aspect of the innocent people and the multiple storylines. So yeah. I don't think it's too long. I actually think that's a really good series now.
Because we got so many characters, you can't let it be too short. And I always say, let Tinian cook. He knows what he's doing. And I love the guy in the bunny costume. That guy's so freaking creepy. I thought he was going to be like I thought he was just going to be like, oh, this will just be like a ridiculous. No, this guy's like gives off like.
I would love to see that get turned into a Netflix series or something like that.
Absolutely.
I feel a lot of these are written with the idea, like Mark Millar. Everything Mark Millar writes, he actually submits for turning into a show or a movie before he even releases the comic book. But I think that's a lot of people. And why not? Maybe you make a shit ton of money. But I feel like Exquisite Corpses is made and written and drawn to be turned into live action.
Yeah, that happens a lot though. It happened, and not just recently. Remember the comic series 30 Days of Night?
Yeah.
The intention was it to be a screenplay, and they couldn't get it made at the time, so they published a comic book, and then it became.
I didn't know that.
Yeah, I think I could be wrong, but if I'm wrong, you know, like I know enough about this stuff to get in trouble. So
I always say this to myself. It's kind of a running gag because especially with CGC books, I don't know what's in my CGC submissions because someone else submits them and mixes them all up and I don't know what's coming. So I'm not prepared like, oh, here's the history of this book and this character because I'm just opening it right now. But sort of the running gag is I don't do any research whatsoever. And when I do give you the information I know, most likely it's half wrong. And that's sort of the running gag. But I say to myself, hey, you know what? If you say something with enough conviction, even if you're wrong or incorrect, they'll believe you, right?
Yeah.
Feel like you mean it, Matt.
We have a lot of politicians doing that already. So, I mean, we got any questions for Randy any more questions? I'm sure he, as long as it's not like, what does he like on his pizza? Or I guess he would answer that too.
What I like about pizza, I like California Pizza Kitchen has a barbecue chicken pizza and it uses a barbecue sauce instead of red sauce, marinara or whatever.
Yeah.
I like that. And I honestly really do love a ham and pineapple pizza. Now it's controversial in another video or live stream I did. People were very against that, but I think the people against it haven't tried it. And if you haven't tried it, you shouldn't say anything about it.
I don't have no problem with it. I just, I don't, it's not my personal taste. Some people will go like, what?
You're missing out. You know what? You don't have to like it. You're just missing out. Somebody else had a question. Where did you start with comics? So we talked earlier how I got into the idea of comics, and I don't know if you were late to that. The general idea is I grew up in the 70s and comic books and TV shows and everything were everywhere. But I didn't become a hardcore comic book reader until the very early 80s. I don't know what it was, 81 or so. We used to have this store I mentioned, Paperama. They were like a party store and they had comic books there. They would actually put the price tag on them and they wouldn't rotate them in and out. I bought comic books that were 2 years old sitting on there. And my brother Bill and I, Bronze Age Bill, started discovering these comic books. We actually discovered them in it was a pharmacy, the good old drugstore with a spinner rack. And it was down in Weymouth, Massachusetts. And I remember we'd already started reading comic books, but then we saw G.I. Joe comic book and we were massive G.I. Joe fans, and Indiana Jones comic book came after that. And we started picking up it. Really a big part of getting into comic books was these intellectual properties that were movies and stuff like that. And of course we were already, I remember silly story, but my brother we were in a car accident when we were kids, 1980. I think it was 80. 79, 80. And my brother he was okay. And he was in the hospital. He bumped his head and they kept him in there for a night or two or something like that. But everybody brought him gifts. They brought him candy. They brought him all stuff. And somebody brought him a whole bunch of comic books. And he wouldn't let me read any of them or have any of the candy because he was in the hospital. Bronze Age Bill. But that was a big thing for us. We suddenly had all these comic books that people gave us. And, we used to pick them up in the 50-cent bin where they would cut if you ever see a comic book, an old comic book with the whole
the cover off.
The top, because drugstores and stores, if the comic books didn't sell, they would want their money back from the publisher. So but the publisher, nobody wants to ship entire stacks of comic books back. They would just say, cut the top off and send that back to us. And then those would go into like a 50-cent bin. So we really got started comic books a couple of different ways and avenues. But honestly, when we started getting into some of these intellectual properties, and especially for me, Spider-Man. And then the black suit of Spider-Man came out in 83. And it was just, we were already reading comics, but that was all.
Yeah, it was just like, I don't know what it was. That put that black costume on Spider-Man just like blew my child mind. I don't know.
Well, to me, it was, we watched Spider-Man cartoons. We watched the Fantastic Four cartoons, all those cartoons and these characters. Nobody changed costumes like that.
Yeah.
Wonder Woman, Superman, Batman, Spider-Man, Green Lantern in a way. They didn't change costumes for us from my whole childhood. And suddenly you're going to tell me Spider-Man is in a black and white costume? That was madness. And it might not be today because it feels like Superman's had 80 different costumes at this point.
Yeah.
But back then, if you weren't there for it, and it's not like, well, if you weren't there for it, you don't get it. But honestly, it was this buzz that you couldn't even like capture. I couldn't tell you what a buzz it was. And I'm going to say this just because newsstand comics have become such a variant, But you look at something like Amazing Spider-Man 252 with the black costume. I'm going to tell you there's probably more newsstand copies than there are direct editions because they were pumping that out to every store and everywhere they could for that comic book. It's just, to me, it's one of those exceptions where, Marvel counted on it being on every shelf in every store to pump this new black costume.
A lot of, like, early on, a lot of people don't realize this because everybody say newsstand, but like early 80s, late 70s, when they start doing direct edition, the direct editions are way more rare than the newsstands. The newsstand didn't get really rare till like the 90s.
Yes, but until we get published numbers between them, nobody's ever going to consider those 70s direct books. I have X-Men direct books from like 78, 79, and I'm like, how?
Got the little black line through it. Yeah, got the little black line through it. Yeah.
I'm also going to make a comment to Jean Mallow. I hope I'm saying that, or Jean Mallow, Jean, whatever it is, says gross, pineapple pizza, never for me. But I'm going to ask this question, and I'm okay with that. No judgment. We're in a judgment-free. We're in the trust tree here in the judgment-free zone. Have you ever tried it? That's my question to anybody who judges it. You could also say, I've never eaten dog poop, but I know it's not good. I've never had durian fruit, but I'm sure it's not good. But people like pineapple. People like ham. Like, I want to know if you've never had it. If you don't like it, is it because you've had it and you don't like it, or you don't like the concept? That's all I would say. Okay. Jean Mallow or Jean has had it. That's okay. At least you tried it.
Well, that's all that matters. A lot of some stuff though, like I used to never like, and then like, well, here, try it. Okay, I'll try it. And I'm like, yeah, that's not bad. I was wrong. But sometimes you're like, sometimes as bad as you think it is. Like, I can't remember what they call it. I was watching this guy. I think it was what Conan or something, or maybe the Trailer Park Boys, and they were like, they do these shows where they travel into Europe. I think they're in Sweden somewhere, and they try this. I can't remember what they call it. It's like a delicacy over there in Sweden.
Yeah, it's the canned strum.
Yeah. And you have to open it underwater. Like, they tell you to take the can.
They don't open it underwater because they want all the clicks on the views when they all start and throwing up.
But like, there was one guy that said that they opened it. No, I think it was like, I can't remember what the group was. It was like a metal band. He said they were doing it as a prank at a show, and they opened the can up and they had poured the juice out.
Evacuate.
Yeah, and threw it out in the audience. And he said, we went back to that venue 10 years later and it still fucking stunk.
Oh, I bet. That's crazy. Yeah, I'll tell you what, for me, here's interesting things about Randy, fun facts. For me, I definitely have a little kid palate. You could give me like hot dogs and beans or macaroni and cheese, and that's the type of comfort food and things like that I would eat. It's taken me a long time to branch out to eat things like vegetables. But the one thing I had never eaten until maybe 10 years ago, maybe just over 10 years ago, well, I mean, a very, very long time in my life, the idea of eating guacamole sounded like the grossest thing on earth you've ever heard of. It was green. It was gooey. The texture looked awful. What's even is an avocado? Like, it looks stupid. And I wouldn't eat it. And I was at a restaurant. I think it was called Tesmaca. It was a restaurant in Worcester, Massachusetts, just outside of the Worcester Palladium. I was probably either playing a gig there or going to a gig there. And somebody got it and I tried it. And I was like, I wasted 40 years not eating this. And it's amazing. Why did nobody try to make me try it sooner?
Yeah. Actually, the best guac is the fresh guacamole. Is just the best kind, I think. But I have to have a little heat on it. I put a little hot sauce on it. I don't know. It's kind of weird, but I'm kind of weird like that. I'm like one of those people like, let's put hot sauce on it. I put hot sauce on eggs.
We call you hot sauce heroes.
Yeah. I don't like that hot ones crap though. Like, where it's like so hot, you're like, I can't breathe. No, I don't want to die.
Right. If you can't taste the food, why do it?
I saw a guy do a video the other day. I can't remember who it was that posted it. And I'm like, he's got this bag of hot gummies, right? It's like a challenge. And they look like toilets. They look like commodes. And they call it firea. So if you take them, you're going to get fiery, out both ends, I guess. And I'm like, why would you do that? Are you just an idiot? Like, you want to that would put me in the hospital, is all I'm saying. I would be like, on life support if they did that to me. I'd be like, no. So I don't know how they do that.
My stomach has decided long ago that it can't eat anything like that.
And I'm kind of like, when it comes to my palate, I could eat chicken tenders every day. And I'm kind of a big guy anyway, but I'm.
It's my favorite, my favorite jokes from the comedian Dave Attell. Make sure you go listen to Dave Attell's first album. He goes, he talks about not wanting to eat healthy things. And he goes, does this stomach look like I eat fruit? He says, hot dog eating contest. I'm listening.
Do you remember the album where he did that bit? I'm gonna try to do a PG-13 version of it because I'm not gonna tell you what he said.
My mom might be listening. We have to keep things clean.
Yeah. Well, he said he took this girl home, and
no, don't do the joke. Don't do it.
No. I'm just talking about the part where he's like, "Yeah, give it to me, 3PO." Is this girl crazy, or like it says on her bracelet, or is she looking at my sheets?
I thought we were going in a different joke direction.
No, I know what you're thinking about. I was not going to say that one. I'm not crazy.
I also want to ask the viewer, Jean. You could. By the way, you've heard me say the name 2 different ways 8 times, and you've not corrected me yet. I need to know.
He likes both.
John. John, is bacon scent perfume a real thing or not? Because I would like to look into that if it is. Not that I don't already love my wife enough as it is, and she smells beautiful, but I'm just saying one of our wedding anniversaries coming up in July, and that's all I'm saying.
Everybody loves bacon. I mean, like, I don't know. If you smell like bacon, everybody would come running to you. Like, where's the bacon at?
I'll also say this for anybody who already doesn't do this. If you have an air fryer, cook your bacon in the air fryer. Get thick cut bacon, put it on 400 degrees, cook it for 9 minutes. It's amazing. That's all I'm saying. Air fryer bacon I'll never use a stove or frying pan again. Throw it in the air fryer.
Like another thing I'll do with that is like, you can even make grilled cheese in the air fryer.
Yes. Yep.
And what I would do is I would fry the bacon in the air fryer, and then I would take, because I like to add a little extra. So you take the thick bacon and you put it in the bread. Then you take it there and you put it in there and let it melt the cheese. And grilled cheese bacon sandwich.
Yeah, grilled cheese and bacon. Grilled cheese, grilled tuna melt with bacon on it. Also, by the way.
Yeah.
Now I'm getting hungry for dinner, guys.
Yeah, well, it's about time for me to eat anyway, and I've kept you long enough. I think I appreciate you being here.
No, I had a blast, and it was so great meeting you and being on the show. Thank you to everybody for watching. Again, if you joined late, I'm on Instagram at Swarm of Comics. If you have a channel you want me to follow or an Instagram you want me to follow, just message me there. Do whatever. I'm happy to. If you want to go find my band, again, we're on Facebook. We're on our own site, swarmofeyes.com, Bandcamp, Spotify, whatever you want to support, or don't. I'm honestly not offended if you don't. You do what you got to do. And it's been great sort of meeting everybody. The chats are always good. And I had fun. I hope you invite me on again.
You're welcome here anytime for any show I have. Before we get out here, I got a quick little thing to talk about. I got a show coming tomorrow. I've been review movies on here, and I'm doing a collaboration with 2 other channels, Pop Culture Philosophers channel and One Collection Down. And they're doing a movie thing called March Madness. So it's movies about madness and insanity, So we got a real good one about madness coming up tomorrow night at 9 p.m. Eastern, Randy. The Devil's Rejects, directed by Rob.
One of the most terrifying movies, psychologically terrifying movies I've ever seen in my life.
I agree.
Terrifying. The hotel scenes, terrifying.
Well, especially if you've stayed in a lot of hotels, it's kind of a scary thing because I don't know, but it's just that whole thing where she's like, she gets the gun from her in that part, and she's like, "Oh, well, shoot me in the ass," and there's no bullets in it. She said. I'm going to say this. I'm going to say this to interrupt, and I'm saying it to you, and I'm saying to anybody else that does live streams or whatever it is. I'm going to say this, and I know it could be. You might think I'm crazy, but I don't always see everything. I'm busy working during the day. I'm busy and I'm doing a million things. If you've got a live stream, you've got something coming up, just message me. Just say, hey, live stream coming up. You never bothering me. Message me on Instagram and just say, hey, I've got this live stream. If you're around, join it. Because if I happen to jump on my computer at night, at the end of the day working on the computer, I don't want to get back on a computer. So I don't see it all the time. Sometimes if I hop on and I'm doing some graphics, video
editing or some thumbnail editing or something like that, I'll suddenly see it. It'll say, oh, Cliff on Comics is live, and I'll jump in, or Gary B is doing something live, and I'll just randomly join, but I don't plan in advance. So if you're doing it tomorrow night at 9, feel free to message me and say, hey, Randy, if you're around. If I'm not, if I am, I am. If I'm not, I'm not. So if anybody out there is doing their own live streams and stuff, and you want get people on there, get the word out, you never bother me. Send me a message to ask me.
All right, I'll send it tomorrow night for the show. All right, guys. Again, thanks, Randy, for being here. I appreciate it. And like I said, you're welcome back anytime. Well, guys, that's the end of the show. I'd like to thank everybody for watching. And I always sign up like this because, you know, we used to watch Spider-Man and His Amazing Friends, the Incredible Hulk cartoon in the 80s. And Stanley would always go, until next time, true believers.
Come, son of Jarrell! Kneel before Zod! Snitchy boochies.